Assalamualaikum and hi to Dr. Rohani binti Muhammad and our fellow friends. Today we're going to present MGT 648 Research Method Critical Thinking by Faculty. We are from Group BA243 5A. Our group members consist of 6 members, which is Muhammad Sarizman, Muhammad Amirul, Nur Aisyah, Nur Fitrah, Nur Shahinda and also Aina Afika.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Fitrah binti Izham. I will present background study and problem statement. Let us start. University Technology Mara UiTM has been established since 1965. For more than 5 decades, UiTM has succeeded in produce graduates that are fully prepared with knowledge and skills to expose to the real working world. The university's vision is to establish UiTM as a premier university of outstanding scholarship and academic excellence that are capable of providing leadership to Bumi Putra's dynamic involvement in all professional fields of world-class standards in order to produce globally competitive graduates of sound ethical standing. And the mission is to enhance the knowledge and expertise of Bumiputras in all fields of study through professional program, research work, and community service based on moral values and professional ethics. In Selangor, there are 5 campuses which located in Puncak Alam, Puncak Perdana, Dengkil, Sungai Buloh, and Selayang. As this research is conducted in UiTM Puncak Alam, we will focus more on the campus itself. The faculties are Faculty of Pharmacy, Faculty of Business and Management, Faculty of Health and Science, Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management, Faculty of Accountancy, Faculty of Art and Design, Faculty of Education, and Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying with total of 18,721 numbers of students enrolled in this campus. Even though UiTM has initiated various ways to boost critical thinking skills among students, but in a survey of science students at UiTM Shah Alam, it was discovered that only a quarter of them had reached high reasoning level. This finding indicates that many students are performing at a level below their true cognitive capacity. Unfortunately, as students' level of critical thinking are not in the targeted level of UiTM, has take alternative routes and tackle the obstacles that distract the students from developing their critical thinking skills. Now, let us proceed to the next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Sarizman. Now we move to research objective and research question. From this research, we identify 2 research objective and 2 research question. As for the research objective, first is to assess the level of critical thinking students in UiTM Puncak Alam. Second is to identify the differences of student between the faculty with the students' level of critical thinking skills. Next is for research question. First is, what is the level of critical thinking of students in UiTM Puncak Alam? Second, what are the differences of students between the faculty with the students' level of critical thinking skills?
Assalamualaikum. My name is Aina Afika binti Azmi. Next, the summary of the literature review has been made based on the concept of critical thinking, faculty, and the relationship between these 2 variables. The finding of previous research identified variable opinion. Based on overall review, faculty was believed to be related to critical thinking. The previous researcher have found identified mixed findings. However, based on overall review, critical thinking level was believed to be related to faculty. This is because researchers have found that a large majority of faculty claim that students lack appropriate standard to assess their critical thinking. Therefore, based on this, the hypothesis developed, which there is a relationship between faculty and critical thinking.
This slide will be presenting about the research method. The purpose of this research is descriptive quantitative research, as it is conducted to investigate the differences between faculty in terms of the critical thinking by students in UiTM Puncak Alam. This research demands a low-level interviews, and we use clarification sort of inquiry since it includes learning about and describing the research problem. So in terms of the time horizon, we use cross-sectional research, as this research requires looking at the data from the participant and evaluated at a single point in time for a given sample. Finally, this research uses a non-contrafix setting, as it is research setting where the research is done in a natural environment. Second point is samplings. As the population size is unknown, we as researchers decide to use non-probability sampling technique, which is convenient sampling or known as accidental samplings. All students from 8 faculties at UiTM Puncak Alam who were in the part 1 to part 8 of their studies were involved in the survey. Because the size of the population is unknown, the sample size was calculated using G-Power software. Next point, data collection. The data of this study has been distributed within all faculties of UiTM Puncak Alam in Selangor, which is 8 faculties. The questionnaire, which was created using Google Forms and distributed over WhatsApp and Telegram. So the platform will allow us to reach all of the students easily. Lastly, method of analysis. Determination of goodness fit of data and measure is the first phase of research that must be completed for this research to reach its objective. The reliability and normality tests were involved at this phase. The second phase of analyzing is by answering the two objectives stated in research objectives.
As for the analysis on demographic profile, we have used descriptive analysis to describe the characteristics of the respondents in terms of their gender, parts, and faculty. Overall, there were 164 data that have been collected. Thus, the percentage shown in all charts were based on the 164 data collected. Based on the pie charts, the majority of our respondents are female, which is 65%, from semester 4, 37%, and from faculty of business and management, which is 33%.
Next, I would like to present the analysis and result for reliability and normality test. Reliability test is used to ensure that the item used to assess variable using subjective measurement are internally consistent and highly related. The variable of these studies is critical thinking. From the table, Romfa alpha for the variable critical thinking is 0.863, which indicates excellent level of internal consistency. Therefore, the item used to measure the variable were considered reliable, considering that 86% of the item are high internal consistency. None of the items were deleted. All items were used to compute the variable. Next table show the result for normality test for critical thinking. According to the table, the results show that the score for mean and median for critical thinking are: mean is 3.8853 and median is 3.9091, were almost similar. Next, the score for courtesies and skewness for critical thinking are: courtesies is negative 0.704 and skewness is 0.109, will also within the range of plus minus 3. Therefore, the sample was considered normal.
Next, let us get through to the analysis and result answering Research Objective 1. Research Objective 1 is to assess the level of critical thinking among UiTM Puncak Alam students. We can see that in the table, we have used the descriptive statistic to measure the critical thinking. The mean is 3.88, which indicates moderately high. The lowest is 2.64 and the highest is 5. The coefficient variance is 14%, which is less than 15%. On the right side of this slide, we can see that there is a bar graph. The bar graph is percentage is 11.6, the highest, which students slightly agree by the critical thinking. Critical thinking 5 indicates the highest response of strongly agree by UiTM Puncak Alam students, while critical thinking 9 indicates the highest response of strongly disagree by UiTM Puncak Alam students.
So this slide will be presenting about the analysis and result of research objective 2. The figure shows the result of differences between critical thinking level of student in UiTM Puncak Alam by faculty. As for the lowest critical thinking level with 2.64, there is only one faculty represented the lowest critical thinking level with 20%, which is Faculty of Art and Design. Meanwhile, the Faculty of Accountancy had the highest percentage with 8.1% on the highest critical thinking level of 5.00, followed by Faculty of Pharmacy with 6.7% and Faculty of Business Management with 3.7%. Overall, the result shows the faculty of UiTM Puncak Alam student had an average level of critical thinking level. Next, we move to the ANOVA table. The result shows that the item 8 and item 9 have significant difference between faculty as compared to other variable. This can be seen from the significant value in the item 8 and item 9, 0.000 and 0.001 respectively, which are lower than the significant value of 0.05.
Next, we move to discussion. Based on findings in Chapter 4 under Research Objective 1, the majority of UiTM students is considered have moderately high level of critical thinking, which is above average level. This shows that the students have high critical thinking level since they are able to objectively analyze people's idea while also being able to assess advantages and disadvantages in a given situation. The finding for this research objective have seen a similar result compared to literature review from previous researchers, which is critical thinking allows people to deduct with more logic to process sophisticated information and look at various sides of an issue so they can produce more solid conclusions. We move to research objective 2. The result shows that there are significant difference between the level of critical thinking students by different faculty. Based on the findings, the result shows that Faculty of Accountancy UiTM Puncak Alam students had the highest level of critical thinking, while students at Faculty Art and Design had the lowest level of critical thinking. Overall, it shows that the students from UiTM Puncak Alam with different faculty had an average level of critical thinking, with two items that significantly different from the other items of critical thinking. As stated under literature review, the study also discovered that the majority of faculty were unable to provide convincing instances of how they facilitate critical thinking in their classroom or to define specific critical thinking abilities they believe students should learn.
Now, let us discuss about the recommendations and conclusions that can be made. Based on our finding, we would like to suggest some recommendations for the solution to UiTM so that it can help to improve the level of critical thinking among UiTM students. The first recommendation is suggest ways to increase the level of critical thinking among students. Throughout the research, we found that it is very important for the students to know how to increase their level of critical thinking. Thus, we suggest that in the future, research on how or what ways can the students apply to increase their level of critical thinking. I have come across one of the activities that can increase level of critical thinking is by entering debate competition. Based on the research conduct, arguments in debates can help the student to think critically. The second recommendation is every faculty should improve their teaching method that can increase high creativity in implementation of critical thinking among students. As a teaching method is one of the most factors that affect students' critical thinking level, different faculty with different teaching method might help students in UiTM Puncak Alam to be more creative and innovation in every task given. We believe that every faculty will have different subjects to learn. Therefore, the teaching method approach for students to be more critical thinkers should also be in a different approach. Faculty of Art and Design might include decision-making in their assessment to improve critical thinking level among their students so that they are able to think independently and innovatively when they been given new task or assignment in unexpected situation. Faculty of Architecture, Survey and Planning might include problem-solving methods in their assessment to develop their students to be high critical thinkers. Now, the third recommendation is to increase sample size for the research. As for the recommendation for future research in conducting this study, the sample size for the research can be increased. This is due to the reason that researcher will be able to generate a more precise output as it enables researchers to establish the average value of data collected better with a larger sample size. Moreover, with a larger sample size, error caused by evaluating a small number of potentially atypical samples can be minimized. As a conclusion, based on our research objective, which are to assess the level of critical thinking of students in UiTM Puncak Alam and to identify the differences of the students between the faculty with the students' level of critical thinking, we have successfully achieved our objective as we get to know the level of critical thinking among students in UiTM Puncak Alam is moderately high. We also managed to identify the differences of the students between the faculty with the students' level of critical thinking, which are Faculty of Accountancy had the highest level of critical thinking, while Faculty of Art and Design had the lowest level of critical thinking. That's all from our group. Thank you.